Hi, welcome. Thanks for joining us today. We're talking about digital marketing. And if you're a small business owner, this is a really, really important thing for to know a lot about. And today I've have the pleasure of introducing to you Chad Coleman. He's co-founder of a company called HeroSmith, who, based on what I can tell, is really, really focusing on how to bring amazing, terrific digital marketing to entrepreneurs. Do I have that right, Chad?
Yeah, that is sure right, DeDe. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate you having me on the show.
Great. How's your day going today?
It's going good. Yeah, we had, it was a little different. For the first time, we had like a small, less than 10 people meet up. Everyone was wearing a mask.
Awesome.
One of the entrepreneurs we work with as a group that he's met with for over 10 years. So we actually had him at our Denver facility, which was different. That hasn't happened in a few months.
Yeah, to give context, if you're watching this later, we are July 31st right now. So we're just all peeking our heads out from under whatever rocks we were hiding under for the last 4 or 5 months. So having a small group meeting had to feel kind of exciting. How did they deal with it?
It was good. Everyone maintained their distance and we all wore masks. And, as DeDe, HeroSmith is a huge space, like over 4,500 square feet.
Yeah.
So we were able to spread out pretty well. What it would normally be in non-COVID times, our training center.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it went well. Everyone was respectful of each other's health and distance. But it was great to actually see real people.
I think that's right this minute, really key. But our topic today is digital marketing. And if you're a business just starting out and you're going to make widgets, really cool widgets. They have chocolate chips and no one else's do. What are the kind of things people need to know about digital marketing? Where do you start with a new company?
That's a great question, DeDe. Thanks for asking. I think one of the biggest misconceptions, and that people have in this era about starting a business is when they should start marketing it. And I am a believer that you should actually start marketing your business before you even launch it. So
that's interesting. How do you market something that doesn't exist yet?
Right. Yeah. Well, as you know, being an entrepreneur yourself and a multiple entrepreneur myself, there's a buildup, right? And a lot of business owners, while they may not have their product completely finished or their services all figured out or even have a complete website yet, there's a journey that we all go on as entrepreneurs. Yeah. And most of the small businesses, they have this disease called perfectionism, where they want to make, yeah, right. I'm just as guilty of this. And what happens is that they want to make sure every single thing is absolutely perfect before they start telling people about their business. And what us experienced entrepreneurs learn is that it's never perfect. Even if you spend a year polishing that widgets, it's never going to be exactly perfect. So in this era, it's actually more valuable to start documenting the journey that you're on in creating this business, so that when you do pick a launch date, and a lot of people think of a launch date as, hey, this is the first time I'm going to tell my people about my company. It actually should be thought of more as a PR event to promote your company.
Okay.
And so I typically recommend people start marketing at least a month before they plan to launch their business, if not sooner. And all they really have to do is leverage those free tools that they have out there, social media and things like that, to kind of document the steps they're taking and to just talk about what they're creating. Because ultimately, when you do announce a launch date, you want to have as much people know about that as possible.
Sure. Absolutely. So how do you, when you're talking with a new business owner or a new entrepreneur, how do you help them know how much to do? So I've been doing this for a long time, and I know that I can't do every social media channel. That's just too much. And some probably aren't going to be a great fit. I think it's very hard to use Pinterest with financial stuff. Not impossible. Some people are doing it, but maybe they're way more creative than I am. But how do you approach that conversation with people who are starting out with companies?
Well, you hit the nail on the head there, DeDe. When kind of in this era, social media is so prevalent that most entrepreneurs think, all right, well, I'm going to go create the Twitter and the Facebook and the Instagram and the TikTok and the Pinterest and oh my gosh.
Right. Your head explodes.
Right, exactly. And here's the bottom line is you don't have to have a presence on every single one of those platforms. And I think one of the important things that we do and that our sort of monthly marketing subscription model really enables us to do is to really think strategically about which platforms are going to work really well for the business that you're in and the entrepreneur themselves. You know, you and I are very comfortable on video. We both leverage video as a medium, but not all entrepreneurs are. So a platform like YouTube might not be the best choice for them. So I really work with them and coach them through the process of understanding, hey, strategically, you know, Instagram's going to be a great choice for you because of X, Y, and Z. And, you know, but, you know, maybe Pinterest, you know, in your case, for example, you know, isn't the best medium. I would rather an entrepreneur really pick like 2 or 3 platforms that they really feel comfortable with and that they're actually going to use. Than try to spread themselves too thin and use every social media platform out there.
Right. Because like that perfectionism collides with too many options, and it's so easy to just do nothing. Inertia can take over. So do you have an example of a couple of different companies, one where they chose certain channels and one where they chose different ones? What tipped it one way or another?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. So, you know, one of the niches that we work with a lot, there's several sort of niches that we work with, is coaches, you know, health coaches, wellness coaches, really coaches of pretty much all varieties, maybe except for, we don't have a business coach right now because we sort of are one, kind of a little bit too.
Careful.
Yeah. But you know, for example, you know, we've had situations where we've had co-founders. One is incredibly comfortable on social media, a little bit younger, and the one that maybe is a couple years older, and that's really not the reason, but
I was going to say careful with that.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah, not really the reason, but maybe it plays into it. She's not as comfortable on the social media, so we came up with a really great strategy to help them, you know, leverage mediums that, you know, to sort of divide and conquer. Like maybe one does more of the writing and blogging, which helps your website search engine optimization, obviously, and the other one does more of the handling of things on social media. And you know, a huge platform for coaches and counselors and things like that is Instagram, just because it offers a lot of options, you know, from photography to video to live, and now with IGTV you can even do longer form stuff. So that, you know, and ultimately it really doesn't matter. It's really all about where are your customers, you know. I get a lot of people who come in, and if they're, you know, serving, you know, they're like, geez, do I have to do a TikTok? I'm like, only if your customers are there. You know, if your customers are, you know, 13 to, you know, 25, yeah, you probably should have a TikTok.
Yeah. It didn't even cross my mind that I would use TikTok.
Right. Yeah. Probably not the best medium for a financial advisor.
Not yet. Not unless they really need to catch them young.
Yeah, right. Yeah, maybe that's a good strategy. Get them really early.
Right. Continuity. So you sound really passionate about what you're doing. Tell me about how you ended up being co-founder of HeroSmith.
Yeah. So I came up in the agency world. I actually started in film. I did a couple of years of freelance film work. Okay. I've always loved storytelling, so that's what drew me to film. But the reality of when you graduate from film school, unless you have $1 million to make your own movie, you end up doing work on a set. And so you're not really being able to craft stories. So actually, one of my film professors was starting something we called a digital media agency in 1998, to date myself a little bit. You know, he remembered me and brought me in and to do at first video. And so I really fell in love with this process of helping businesses really craft a compelling story that gets those users, those potential customers' attention. And staying at this agency, you know, the early internet was not super video friendly, so they started to make me wear a lot of hats, and I started managing web projects, and I just fell in love with that as a medium, and saw for small businesses or just businesses in general to craft their story and attract customers.
Well,
So I got it really early.
too. I think you had NASCAR as somebody you worked with.
Yeah, I got to work with NASCAR. Did a whole bunch of. We did some CD-ROMs and some web stuff for them back in the day, and it was a lot of fun. Got to work with huge brands, and so most of my career, in fact, most marketing agencies are designed really to work with like Fortune 1000 brands. So when I started my first agency called Ascend here in Denver, much like every other marketing agency, that was our target. You know, we wanted to work with bigger brands. They have this thing, you may have heard of it. It's really popular with agencies and businesses called a budget. So like most agencies, we focused on them. But a funny thing happened on the way to the bank, right?
Right.
We got to work with some great clients. Even though our marketing was laser focused, DeDe, I mean, it was hyper focused around talking to chief marketing officers, directors of marketing in corporations. Even though we were laser focused on that, because of our work and I don't know, our vibe or something, about 8 out of 10 of the leads that we would get through our websites turned out to be small businesses. And I'm a big believer in, listen, if you take the time to reach out to me, even if you're not like sort of qualified from a financial standpoint to work with one of my companies, I want to talk to you. I want to connect with you as a business owner.
I do the same thing. I totally get that.
Nice. Yes. In fact, you do. I've sent a couple people your way that maybe aren't quite ready, but will be someday soon.
But they will be someday. And we want to help those folks be amazing future clients.
Absolutely. So it was kind of weighing on me. It's like, and then I would hear these stories every time I would talk. I'd have like, 20, 30-minute conversation with everyone that was a lead through our website. And I'd hear these horror stories. Yeah, I met a kid at Starbucks and, he said he'd do a website and then I gave him $1,000 and he disappeared, or he designed me something, I didn't really like it. And I asked to make changes and then he disappeared. So I kept thinking like, goodness, somebody needs to create a marketing agency that's accountable, that's really out there, and that's a trusted brand for small businesses. And so I started thinking about that, believe it or not, actually 3 years ago, and started to craft, well, how could I be as high quality, that I believe in, the level of quality and consistency and the strategic insights that an agency can offer a Fortune 500 company. How can I translate that into a system that works for small businesses?
So scale goes both directions for you.
Yeah.
How do you take it and make it affordable at a scale for a small business? Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good trick.
It's kind of cool how we did that. We discovered that a lot of agencies' time are lost, or a lot of the difficulties are around communication. Someone's trying to give you feedback on in an email about a logo design. Something gets misinterpreted, a bunch of work is done, and the next thing you know, oh no, that's not what we're talking about. Yeah. So I thought, why not create an agency where people could collaborate directly, where really experienced designers and marketers could meet face-to-face or over Zoom or video conference and work directly together. After all, no one knows their business better than the entrepreneur themselves. And if you pair them with experts who are awesome at design and marketing, magic things can happen. And it's really worked out. People love the model. They love the collaboration and feeling that they have a voice in their branding and marketing.
Is there a typical path that you start with branding, or do you start with product? What's the experience for somebody as an entrepreneur as they're trying to really develop their marketing plan, is what I'm hearing you say?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. I appreciate you asking that. So when I initially conceived of HeroSmith, I kind of thought of it like almost like a sort of a weird combination of like a gym for your business, because we have all these resources to create video and a training center, podcast studio, audio, video studio. And so, but as it evolved and I started working with people, I realized that they actually needed a reliable system
They need a personal trainer. Everybody has a gym membership, and it only works if you've got a trainer. Okay.
Yeah. So that we kind of realized this pretty early on, like with our beta clients that we took on, and while people love like the Kinkos, like, hey, I can just walk in today and get my website done, in 3 hours. They love that, and we still do that stuff for certain people. But what I realized is that they needed a more strategic and ongoing relationship that would guide them through the trials and tribulations of being an entrepreneur. So I created the Hero Smith Revolution, which is a 5-stage system where we help businesses create a scalable, high-growth brand. And so basically the first phase is working out any business issues they have. We work with entrepreneurs all the way from brand new, so we tend to spend more time, obviously, in that initial business phase with the newer folks. We work with people really experienced like yourself who, you don't need, to figure out your margins. You've got those kind of basics things.
Yeah, budget we're familiar with.
Yeah, exactly. You especially, right? Yeah. And so then we move right into branding, which is a huge thing that most businesses overlook because they're always thinking like, hey, I have this great thing. I'm just going to like tell the world about it, and then customers are magically going to appear at my doorstep and start buying things. And what they don't realize often is that marketing tactics are great, but often if you don't have your brand really figured out, if you can't clearly explain your business in 15 or 20 seconds or on your website, and don't have that brand story figured out, you're going to end up helping a lot of maybe attracting the wrong kind of customers or just attracting as many as you would like. And so
as a new entrepreneur, that you can help them create that story, or even ideally they would come to you with maybe elements of that story and have you help them create a cohesive, tie it all together, if you will. Does that sound about right?
It can go either way. It definitely is either way. Some people are just like, I don't know what to say. Like I thought like, I just would launch this thing and we get a lot of customers, and those are my favorite people to work with, the newer people. I love working with, work with people that have been in business for 15, 20 years as well, that are still small businesses. But I love working with the newer people because we've all learned those hard lessons along the way about expectations and different ideas and things like that. And I just love the fact that we can save them a lot of time and money by helping them avoid the pitfalls that are out there.
Always good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun, and we have those 5 stages. We take people all the way, and through when we get to that 5th stage, we've kind of figured out, okay, we've created a marketing plan, we've created a content strategy, and now we're sort of working together to execute that marketing strategy.
Excellent. And there's accountability, so that helps too. So there's a coaching element to the process.
Yeah.
Unlike that gym membership where after the first month you forget about it. So
I know I did.
Well, yeah. Name me someone who hasn't. That's very cool.
Right.
So given that we're on a financial planner channel, I always ask the question: somewhere in your life you had an interesting financial challenge. Is there one you will be willing to tell us about what it was and how you resolved it?
Yeah, that's a really great question. Financial challenge. I mean, to be honest, like, my family, they were hardworking people. I'm really thankful for my mom and dad. Both taught me an incredible work ethic. But we didn't come from a family that had money traditionally. I had young parents, and so, the financial side of things, was a struggle early on. I felt really blessed and lucky that my parents were able to pay for my college, and I didn't have to acquire.
That doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah, I know. Well, no, who could afford it now?
Right.
A couple $100,000 just to go to school. And so it's been interesting. Obviously, when you come from that background, you don't have that safety net that a lot of people have. And but I'm kind of a stubborn person, so in the past, I've tended to make choices for what I believe was the right thing to do, or what I was really passionate about doing, and then not, and maybe even sacrificing money, for the passion.
Yeah.
But what I figured out over time, and it took me a few years, was that
Years. Yeah. Got it.
yeah, too many years, right? Was that when you're an entrepreneur, you have that opportunity. You're not beholden to somebody else creating a job that you want to do and that you're passionate about.
Right.
You can create your own passion and then define that path to revenue.
Yep.
And I think, that coming from a background that wasn't affluent really helped me. It gave me that drive to continue to challenge myself and continue to push forward. But also, let's face it, every business, it's a bit of a roller coaster ride, especially when you're first starting.
It is, and it's a form of risk, and different people are comfortable with different kinds of risk in different places.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think coming from that background really helped me, not be so monetary driven that when the times were tough, I could survive through it. I know how to. But thankfully, with Heroesmith, the idea has taken off so well that we're working with members all over the country and
that's awesome.
People and guiding them, remotely and here in Denver. So it's been fun.
So think back to when you were a little kid. I'm sure you didn't go, I want to be an entrepreneur helping people do digital marketing, because it absolutely didn't exist at the time. When you were little, say 10, what did you think you wanted to be when you grew up?
Oh, I know exactly what I wanted to be when I wanted to grow up. It was, I wanted to be a spy. I thought.
No kidding. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You don't ever blend in. I don't know how you'd pull that off.
Well, I just, I loved it as a kid. I used to spy on my parents when their friends would come over, and I'd see how close I could get to them before anyone would notice I was there. And so I totally thought I was going to I don't know, join the CIA or something when I was growing up. And
wow, that's.
But yeah, I'm far too nerdy and probably not the physical stature to make it with the rigors of those organizations.
Perhaps not, but I think that desire to be very observant and to learn have served you well.
Absolutely, yeah. Marketing is largely a study of people, and I've always been fascinated by people and their stories, and so so I think it all led to the right place, and I am where I belong.
I sure get that feeling that you're at the right place. So as you're talking, I'm marveling at the similarities between what you do and what I do, because we take people where they're at and we help diagnose what's kind of going on. In my case, what's happening in the financials, understand where they want to head. In your case, they want a successful company. Obviously, the small business owners I work with want that as well, but ours is a little bit broader umbrella.
Sure.
And then help them go through with some accountability, wisdom that we know from experience, so that they can avoid missteps. And at the end of the day, they've pushed that peanut farther with our help than they would have without. About right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it's amazing how similar what we do can be. It is
really amazing. And I was thinking about I think you mentioned something in one of our email correspondence about just generally, obviously you mentioned we're going to talk about finances and things like that. And one of the things that we obviously our focus a lot of times is growing a business. But I think one of the things where we cross over a lot is that growth is awesome. However, just its kind of sister or brother in importance is predictability. If you grow up and you have one great month and then you have a terrible month and then you have a great month, that's not going to be really a great solution or a great life for the entrepreneur itself. So one of the things I think we can leverage now with all these digital marketing tools and the ability to track and test things and see what's working is that we can create predictability. Yeah. And when you have predictability in your marketing or your finances, then you have the ability to scale, right? If all right, well, we've been spending X amount on our marketing and we're getting this many leads, and that's consistent. Well, let's test if we spend 25% more and maybe 50% more. Right. Does the marketing machine come together and produce that many more leads? And if it does, well, hey, you can scale your company. You can bring on that other person. And, I know that you help people a lot around that planning and that structure of their finances.
Yes. Yep. We do our best. Always lots of uncertainty.
Especially now, right?
Someone called it a gut-wrenching level of uncertainty right now. It's like, oh, that kind of nails it. I get that.
Well stated, yeah.
I wanted to give you a chance to ask me any question that you want. This is your chance.
Awesome. Well, so I work with so many small business owners and startups. I really, and I know you have over the years too, because we know a lot of similar and of the same small businesses. I wanted to find out for you, what are the biggest financial challenges that you see that are common amongst most small businesses, even of varying kinds?
The biggest challenge, and it isn't necessarily directly financial, although it will be if they take action on it, is people thinking that they have a good idea and not take the time to do a plan and actually test it on paper, kind of, flesh it out before they jump into it. When I have folks come to me and say, we think we're going to do this, I help them build the skeleton of a business plan. That's not necessarily my forte, but let's at least get thinking about that. And we have been able to probably save several families combined millions of dollars.
Wow.
Because what they had wasn't actually going to work.
Wow.
Or their constitution, just who they were, wasn't going to be a good fit as an entrepreneur. And as you go through that process, there's a lot of self-revelation to build a business plan. And you go, they're going, oh, I don't have to deal with A, B, and C. I only want to do the fun stuff. You go, okay, well, then maybe we get you the experience of fun stuff a different way. So the biggest challenge is making sure that it's a good fit to begin with. And then after that, I think most of the challenges can be tackled one way or another, but you can't fix bad fit. That's immutable.
So true.
Yeah. You see that as well?
That is very fascinating to hear. Thank you for sharing that information. Yeah, we definitely get a lot of people at that early stages, and I get it. It's hard. There's not, while there's some good info out there on the internet, there's also a lot of bad info. So
well, yes, 20, 30 years ago, there was a dearth of information. Right now, we're all to the point of there's just way too much. How do you filter it out?
Yeah,
having somebody
a lot
like
of
you
people making big promises, like I started out doing YouTube videos, and now I'm a millionaire. And it's like, oh, you look it up, like, oh, that's actually just an Airbnb. And,
my gosh, yeah. If you're making so much money, why are you telling me about it?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Why would you not retire in this house?
If it was really that good, you wouldn't be sharing it. So
yeah, to your point, though, I think a lot of people, we're as entrepreneurs, we're very passionate people.
Right.
You need to realize like you're making a financial decision for your company to go in business, and what maybe there could be a great reward if you're lucky, a little bit lucky, and you work hard and you have a good strategy, but also it could be a financial burden to your company if you don't do all that planning. So I'm glad.
Yeah, good luck takes a lot of work.
Yes, it sure does, right? Yeah.
On that, Chad, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been an absolute pleasure learning about what you do and really helping new entrepreneurs know what they need to ask, who they can go to, what some of those steps are. So thank you for joining us. This is DeDe Jones with Innovative Financial, live at noon. Join us here Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, or catch us on YouTube recorded. Bye-bye.
Thanks, DeDe.